Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Jay. Welcome to Jay's World. So let's talk. What do you think? Should I do that? I'm trying to do something different for the beginning of my videos. Okay, so let's try it again. Welcome to Jay's World. So let's talk. I'm just joking. I'm not gonna do that, y'all, for real. I'm just being silly. But I do want to try some different things, you know. I'm just a teeny tiny little YouTuber here in this whole big old YouTube world. So anyway, enough of that. And I'm just joking. I'm not going to do that. I'm just playing. All right. But anyway, as you guys can see by the title of this video, it's called Sweetie Pie's The Restaurant, My Experience. And before I talk about my experience at Sweetie Pie's, I just have to preference all of my comments and my opinions by saying that I actually met Miss Robbie at one of her locations here. It was actually an extension of Sweetie Pie's restaurant, her newest restaurant called Hamburger Heaven. I walked in one night and she was like right there. And let me tell you guys, Miss Robbie could not be the sweetest, nicest, kindest, most down-to-earth person ever. I mean, like, she really honestly is a very nice lady. I mean, she's very warm and welcoming. I mean, she loves her fans, you know. She loves to take pictures with people. I didn't take a picture with her that night. I was sort of like, man, I wanted to ask her, but, you know, it was kind of late and I didn't want to bother her or whatever, you know, because, I mean, she takes pictures all the time. She was actually sitting there with her nephew, her grandbaby, and also her niece was there. She's the manager, and she's on the show as well. I forget the niece's name, but she's a lady. She's very stern. She doesn't take any mess off of people, and she has her hair done up in the braids and everything. But anyway, Miss Robbie, very sweet, lovely, kind lady, and I really like her a lot. So anyway, so I just wanted to let you guys know that before I started talking about my experience with Sweetie Pie's. Just to let you know, this isn't anything personal. I love Miss Robbie. We all love her here in St. Louis. So I'm not trying to tear the restaurant down. Just giving my opinion as a customer and also from a business standpoint. Okay, all right, so with that said, let's get started. Okay, so I actually visited the restaurant about 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, it's been a while since I've actually been to Sweetie Pie's. And I actually visited the restaurant on the strength of seeing her featured on the Food Network. One night, I was watching the show called Dives, Diners, and Drive-Ins. I forget it's the white guy with the crazy bleached blonde hair. He wears lots of jewelry and he drives all around the country and visits different restaurants. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show. But anyway, so they actually featured Miss Robbie and Sweetie Pie's on that show. And he visited her there. They went inside, you know, the restaurant and they featured her making her world famous macaroni and cheese. And she was just very charming and engaging even then. And it intrigued me to actually visit the restaurant. And it's so funny because, like, you know, I've lived in St. Louis for years and I never knew Sweetie Pie's existed, you know, but they have about 3 locations here in St. Louis. And so anyway, so I was like, you know what? Hey, I want to go. I want to check this restaurant out because the food looked really good. So, you know, I got with a friend one Friday evening, and she and I headed on over there to their Manchester location. By the way, that location is closed. That location was pretty much, in my opinion, the flagship. That was like their flagship store because that's where most of the reality show was filmed. You know, I mean, right there in Manchester, you know. I mean, even in the promos from back in the day, you would always see people posing outside in front of that sign, you know, that says Sweetie Pie's and everything. So, yeah, so a lot of people really did closely associate that particular location with the store and the brand, and so do I. So anyway, so we visited that location, and we walk in, and there was no hostess at the hostess stand. There was a lot of scurrying about, you know, waitresses and waiters walking past us. We're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. I know you guys, I know for a fact we waited for a good 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, and I think the part that really bothered me was the fact that people that worked there knew that, okay, two people have walked in and like no one's addressing us. No one's saying, hello, welcome to Sweetie Pies, anything. We're just standing there. So finally, one of a guy at the bar who happened, he was like just a regular patron. He looked over at us, and I guess he felt sorry for us, and he goes, "Hey, y'all can just go grab a seat. You don't have to wait for hostess or anything." So I was like, all right, cool, dude. So so we walked over and we grabbed a seat. So we seated ourselves and waited a little bit more, and finally, a waitress, she came over to take our drink orders. She had an attitude, by the way. Strike two. So she had an attitude as well. So anyway, so she took our drink orders. I believe I ordered a Sprite, and my friend, I believe she ordered a Coke or whatever, So, and she explained to us that we can just head on over to the steam table, and get our food. So, we head on over to the steam table, and we grab plates, and they had it was a system set up to where you could buy 2 meats, 2 sides, 1 meat and 2 sides, blah, 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 or 2 meats, 3 sides, whatever, da, da, da. Anyway, so I just had the 1 meat and 2 sides. I'll never forget what I got. I ordered the catfish, her mac and cheese. I mean, if nothing else, I was definitely going to get that mac and cheese. And I ordered green beans. So, and my friend, I believe she ordered a pork chop, a fried pork chop. I believe it was fried pork chop, and I forget what her 2 sides were. So we make it back to our table, and we start chowing down. And I have to tell you, honestly, the food that night, and just keep that in mind when I say that night. So the food that night was really, really good. The fish, the catfish was fried to perfection. It was seasoned very well. The mac and cheese was, oh my God. That macaroni and cheese was so good. I started getting depressed when I got to the end of it. You eat something and it's just so good and you like, oh man, I just got a little bit left. So you start trying to eat it slow to savor every bite. But the mac and cheese was just the bomb diggity. And also I had green beans. Now the green beans were out of a can, but whatever, The catfish and the mac and cheese made up for that. And my friend, she said that her pork chop was kind of tough, I believe. So, she wasn't too pleased with that. And I forget what her 2 sides were. So, like I said, my food was pretty good. And so the waitress makes it back over to the table to check on us. And I asked her, I was like, you know what? Can I get another refill? Can I get a refill? And she looks at me and goes, we don't do free refills. Strike number 5. Now, let's just talk about that for a second. First of all, this is the 21st century. We're in 2018. And like I said, and this was about 6 or 7 years ago. What restaurant in the 21st century does not give free refills? Y'all, when that girl told me that they don't do free refills, I was just about through with them. I mean, honestly, it bothered me so bad. And I remember a couple years ago watching the reality show, and I remember Miss Robbie and one of the cast members from the show. I believe it was the girl that was going to eventually marry Tim, and then the wedding got broken off and all that stuff. And I think they were at a restaurant together, and they were at a different, like I said, a different restaurant, not Sweetie Pies, just at another restaurant here in St. Louis. And Miss Robbie, the waitress comes up, and Miss Robbie goes, "Excuse me, can I get a refill on my lemonade?" And when Miss Robbie ordered a refill on her lemonade, I honestly started feeling some kind of way, y'all, like for real. Because I was like, hold up. Miss Robbie, you are in the restaurant industry. You own a restaurant. You don't give free refills at your establishment but you go to another restaurant and expect a free refill. Think about it, y'all. Yeah. I had a problem with that. I had a serious problem with that. So, yeah. So anyway, so after the girl told me that I couldn't get a free refill, we was like, screw it. We'll just do water or whatever. And so we get our water, and by this time the check comes. And yeah, let's talk about the check. The prices were really, really high, I must tell you. For two people with 2 drinks, no refills. No refills. It was almost like, it was about $60. I mean, it was really, really expensive. I mean, it's like, granted, this is soul food, it's soul food. I mean, with all due respect, this isn't fine dining here. It's soul food. And I mean, it was like almost $60. And we were like, whoo, boy. So, I mean, pretty much with $60 for 2 people plus a tip. So, we're talking like, a little over $70 overall. So I have to say my overall experience, when I visited Sweetie Pies, if I were on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 3, 3.5. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they didn't even get a 4. There were just too many red flags for me in order to give them anything higher than that. And that's just honestly speaking, And let me say this. I don't want to deter anyone else from visiting Sweetie Pies. You know what? Maybe if you're watching this from another city, maybe you've already visited Sweetie Pies, and maybe you had a better experience than I did. But there was so many red flags for me. I pretty much said that I wasn't going to go back to another Sweetie Pies. And again, that was about 6 or 7 years ago. I've not been back to Sweetie Pies since. Again, the early part of this year, when she came out with the Hamburger Heaven, I decided to, visit that location. And that's how I ran into Miss Robbie. But as far as the restaurant, I was like, yeah, man, I'm done. Like, for real, Like I said, never say never. Who knows? Maybe I may find myself in a Sweetie Pies location again. And if I do, I will give an updated review. I promise you guys. But just as it stands, yeah, I was like, it was enough for me. That was enough for me. And I was like, no. Because, I mean, honestly, with the attitudes up in there and, and just the no refill thing, that just sent me on over. And I was like, you know what? I mean, and the prices, I'm like, man, look, I can spend less and be treated a whole lot better. Trust me, I'm a huge super advocate for supporting African-American businesses. But man, let me tell you, African-American businesses, particularly restaurants, we have got to do better as well. You want my patronage, I want to give it to you, but you're going to have to meet us halfway here. I can't continue to support you and you're not at least giving me quality service. Honestly. Again, just my opinion. Okay. So, I just want to touch, and also I just want to touch on the reality show. I do enjoy the reality show. I've watched it, from the very first season since it came on. The characters have really evolved and everything. And again, love Miss Robbie and those guys are really great or whatever. I am a bit concerned with, Tim and what's happening with that whole situation. I know he's in California now, and I think he had a location here. That one got shut down. And then there was a whole lawsuit. I don't know if you guys heard about that, or maybe you did if you watched the show. But I think Miss Robbie had sued Tim at some point because he was pretty much just taking the brand and just going nuts with it. I think they had Sweet Times and then Sweetie Pies this and Sweetie Pies that. You have to really, really be careful in business when you tweak and mess with the brand and the brand name. You know, it dilutes it or whatever, you know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I really do feel that the reality show helps the restaurant a lot, you know. I honestly don't know who would really be checking for Sweetie Pies without that reality show. And let me just let y'all know this, and I'm putting you on some real game here. When they're not filming that television show, there are not lines wrapped around that building. Fact. On any given day in St. Louis, you can drive past any of their locations. If they're even open, you know, you can drive past any of their locations and you're not going to see lines of people wrapped around that building. That is the magic of television. Real talk. I mean, I know when a lot of conventions come to St. Louis, like I know they have the Kojic convention in November. You know, now the lines are wrapped around the building then, or when the Baptist convention comes here to St. Louis, and, you know, different types of conventions and things like that. Because I get it, you know, people, you know, they love Miss Robbie and they've watched the show and they want to experience it. So, but the locals, for the most part, they're just aren't checking for Sweetie Pies like that. Now, I can put you on to some really good soul food restaurants here in St. Louis. I can think of at least 4 locations right off the top of my head. I remember just a couple weeks ago, I had an appointment downtown, and I'm walking through downtown St. Louis, and a lady, she walks up to me. Well, no, I'm sorry. There was this lady and her son. They were in a car, and they were flagging me down. I was like, okay, you know, they were parked. And I was like, and she pulled me over. She motions me over to the car, and I cautiously walk up to the car because people are crazy. But anyway, I walked up to the car, and she said, "Excuse me, sir." She said, "We're from, I believe Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken." But she said, "We're from down south, and we're trying to get to Sweetie Pies because it was right around 11:30ish. We're getting near lunchtime." And she said, "Do you know where Sweetie Pies is?" Y'all, it took everything within me to not tell this lady of my own experience with Sweetie Pies. But I was like, you know what? Again, I try to be fair, and who knows? Maybe that was just a bad night for me, you know, because I have heard of some people, people even here that have had good experiences at Sweetie Pies. But I was like, I didn't say anything. I zipped my lip. I just, you know, gave her directions to Sweetie Pies, the Upper Crust location, which is kind of like Midtown here in St. Louis. And she's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I was like, oh, okay, you know. So I was like, you know what? She can find out on her own, you know. Sort of reminds me years ago when I visited Atlanta. I mean, this is like a lot of years ago. This is like over 10 years ago. And I used to live in Atlanta, by the way. But anyway, so I visited Atlanta about I'm walking through downtown Atlanta, and this is when Sylvia's Soul Food Restaurant out of New York, she had begun to expand. She sort of did the same thing that Miss Robbie's doing right now. She expanded her brand, and she actually had a location back in the day in Atlanta, like in the underground area. And so she was like, so I was like, "Hey, excuse me." I walked up to these ladies. I was like, you know, "Do you know where Sylvia's is?" And this lady, she looked at me, and she looked at her friend, and she said, and her friend was like, just go ahead. He can find out on his own. And I was like, okay, all right. So anyway, and so I visited Sylvia's restaurant, and it was total crap. The food was horrible. I mean, at least Miss Robbie's food, when you catch it on a good day, is good. So, but, you know, and, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, so that's my review of Sweetie Pies, the restaurant. You know, like I said, love Miss Robbie. The restaurant, yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll visit it again. I'm not sure. But anyway, and I am going to come back to you guys because I am going to do a full review on Hamburger Heaven as well. And I'll let you know about that. So anyway, so that's it. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Oh, one more thing before I go. Wendy, Wendell, Rufus, Bartholomew Williams. Shout out to T.S. Madison. Anyway, don't you ever in your life come for the Clark sisters. These are our legends. How dare you, Wendy Williams? Okay? I just had to get that off my chest. Had to get that out from my spirit. Don't come for my Clark sisters. Those are our legends, baby. You put some respect on their names. We love the Clark sisters. Don't do it, Wendy. All right. Whew, that felt good. So anyway, so I'm going to go back to working on my intro. In the meantime, that's all I got for you guys. Don't forget to like this video. Comment. I'm hoping this will be my thumbnail when they do the thumbnail thing. All right, anyway, so like this video. Please comment, y'all. Please talk to me. I beg y'all every week. Talk to me. And please subscribe to my channel. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. And I will holler at you later. Bye.